Hey there, guys. All right, you have to excuse if I took a little pause because, hold on. Bear with me 1 second. We're actually going to, I'll go live on Instagram later. Okay. So a lot of you guys have been asking, I've been getting some emails and messages asking about what we are launching for spring. We launch on March 18th, and I've been a very busy bee working with some of our writers. And so I wanted to actually show you these packages. Guys, just before I show you, because my excitement is like beyond, this has been in my brain for 2 years. I sent these are labs, quizzes, protocols. I sent this even over to one of our buyers who attended FDN, which is a functional medicine nutrition school. And I actually said to her 3 weeks ago, can you take a look at this and tell me if you think these are like top notch on par? And she wrote back and was like, oh my God, the possibilities are endless. I'm also going to have her do some live webinars showing you guys how exactly she does testing, how exactly she would use this even in her onboarding, different ways, of course, that you can use these. And that is why you have not seen me so active on social media. I have just been making sure that these are perfect. Let me actually just show you. These are one of the many that we will be doing, and there are a lot of different ones. So let me show you and share my screen. Please make sure if you want to grab, of course, that freebie, the launch package we put together, go and grab it. If you're brand new, I encourage you to grab it. If you like free stuff, I encourage you to grab it, because anytime that you are building your business, whether you're bringing people to your one-on-one, groups, membership, high ticket, at any stage, it is about our list building. And so please don't forget that you can take the easier and softer way and reach out locally to people who already know and like you, get in front of their audiences, get in front of their list, build that know, like, and trust factor without having to sit on social media and feel exhausted, constantly hoping that the algorithm works for you. The algorithm will work when you get, of course, really defined in your message, polarized down so that you're not speaking to everyone, and all that jazz. So with that being said, these are the labs that we are releasing. Chronic fatigue protocol. We also came up with these names because we polled you guys for months. Self-care and habits, protocol for leaky gut in the 4R system, food sensitivities protocol for environmental toxins. Many of you, we see how much of an increase of speaking about mold and so many of these different environmental toxins. And so we felt that it was really important to have a protocol for that. Gut health, women over 40, women under, stress, sleep, and PCOS. Let me just show you, a few of them, and we'll go through what these packages are going to incorporate. You have the quiz, the lab, the protocol. For every one of them, it's the same. 3 Facebook ads already done with Canva templates. So for those of you who are testing your ICA, your ideal client, and you're working with a virtual assistant, it's much easier to delegate and outsource to a virtual assistant, whether they're in the US, whether they're in the Philippines, India, or whether you're, finding something on Fiverr, when you actually have a template and they have a visual of the kind of quality that you want, which is why we also gave you 10 images promoting the quiz plus the Canva template. So I just want to take you through exactly what you can do with this. So step number one, or option number one, is quizzes are a powerhouse. One of our amazing coaches in my membership, Monica Bravo, has worked with coaches, not only because she coaches herself, but now she also works with people to build their Facebook ad system, and typically does it with a quiz, because a quiz on a Facebook ad is going to be lower cost than that of a webinar or a masterclass. It's also going to be one of those kind of like solutions that somebody says, oh my God, of course I want to find out why my hair's falling out, why I have itchy skin, why I have food intolerances, why all of a sudden, I've got these rashes and I've never had those. So option number one is that you can use this on the front end for a quiz, have them opt in, and then lead them to either your low cost offer or a page that has your one-on-one booking. You can even, of course, have the quiz. Then they, of course, can land on the page with the one-on-one booking. And some of you, of course, are doing masterclasses. Masterclass means that it's usually, an intensive 60 to 75 minute class, really deep diving into the pain with solutions, with the intention to, talk about also the problems and the solution that you offer. Hence the paid is either your one-on-one, or of course that masterclass pre-qualifies, sets the stage for that person to say, wowzers, I am definitely taking action and clicking on this discovery call, because you and I both know some of the most difficult things is to get somebody to understand the transformation and how amazing it is to work with us, because we can say, here, sign up for a discovery call. But when we actually show them in a class, pre-recorded, you can, of course, have done this live, or this is your on-demand masterclass or webinar. It sets the stage for them understanding what that next step would potentially look like with you. So you can do it in that process. The second thing that you can also do is use this as a questionnaire. You can use this as a questionnaire for even people that are coming to get on a discovery session with you. Many of you are in Practice Better. Many of you, if you're not, you of course have email marketing such as ConvertKit, MailerLite, MailChimp, and you're able to, of course, put something like this into a form, or even a Google form or a Jot form. Of course, you can turn these into open-ended questions. And that's where a lot of us struggle. We're not struggling with the content in our brain. We're either struggling with writer's block or thinker's block. And those two mean that most of us, the majority of us, are not just born marketers. We are born teachers, born healers, born providers, caretakers. And so when we have to think in the marketing way, it can feel really overwhelming, especially if you're building your business. It takes a lot of creativity to come up with these kind of questions, or even do this yourself. So that's why we did it. The cool thing is then you have the labs. Many of us have said, oh my God, we love the women's wellness program. It came with a lab reference sheet. For many of you, you know that you can take this time and you can, of course, put this together, but too often we don't, because we're taking care of our family, taking care of ourselves, you're working a 9 to 5, and time is really where you're deficient. And you may be able to get a writer. Most often it's really hard to get a higher level writer, unless, of course, you're paying, I would say, anywhere from $45 to $100 an hour. Feel free to go on to Fiverr and check how much it costs for a writer who's writing from scratch, not an editor, about higher level information. Furthermore, that lab can also be the opt-in freebie. So they can come into the lab, or, they can come into the Facebook ad for the quiz, or Facebook ad for the lab, or even organic. The quiz can be on the top of your Instagram link tree, or the direct link anywhere, or even in the video that you do on YouTube in the description, like, click right here to grab the quiz, or click right here to buy this lab reference sheet so that you have an easy time navigating when you go and you advocate for yourself in the different doctor's offices, women's wellness offices. And so it can be a free, or it could even be a paid option. But remember, you have these two opportunities to bring people in with something that they desire, which is that problem solved instantly. That's when we know that something becomes viral content. It doesn't mean that your other freebies are not warming and trust building for your potential client. But that high converting one, that one that we say, boom, these are my 3 signature freebies. These are my 3 signature workshops. So I become a pitch master to the podcast, to, places that are locally that are maybe, that have taken their business more online. Even if you're working one-on-one, you still have to build your referral base. So having those 3 signature workshops really showcase and feature your paid opportunities. Then we have the protocol, and I'm just going to show you why I think this is amazing and just so special is that we covered every element. So I look at this as the holistic functional medicine practitioner package, because it's not to say that we don't in functional medicine see these other aspects, but I would say in most of the courses that I've even taken, or signing up with other practitioners' memberships for my own issues, rarely did I see one package that encompassed it all. And we know when we are working, whether it's in clinic or whether you have back-to-back one-on-ones, like many of our coaches do, functional medicine practitioners, etc., I know how fast you might have a 15-minute break to pee, just like Sarah Lawrence. I mean, she goes back to back, and I think she's got like 2 pee breaks and fully booked 2 months out. Many of our coaches are like that. So being able to have this kind of information with, of course, references right there, you'll see that if you do full script, if you are doing testing, you can, of course, package this with your testing. And for some of you, this is just something you want to have in your one-on-one onboarding, so that even before you get to your program, whether it's your high ticket, your signature, your low cost, you can be able to give this and provide this to your client. Can't tell you how many times, guys, with Rachel's Wellness, and I was laughing as I looked back on all my Google Sheets and all my Word documents. This is what I had to do. 12 pages of like, start here. Let's try oil pulling this week. And these were like all the different things that I constantly were recreating. It's one of the reasons why creating the Done Free programs was so special, because I can speak from experience, content creating, and still to this day, we have a huge team that does all the designing and the editors and the people support emails and the copywriters. Just the other day, I had an experience talk about price, where I was getting a detox sales page done. I had to find a new copywriter. My old copywriter that did the programs had moved on, and that took her 3 hours. That means $150. So when you guys are looking at content that we have, keep in mind how much it would cost you to have that done. And that's why I do look at these packages. We do sell them, really low compared to what you would actually spend if you were outsourcing this. Even if you guys have to change, covers, that's a choice we make. If you want to change or you want to change the look of it, but in reality, it's still a little portion of what we would actually spend. And you see right here, we are getting into some of the really specifics that we know often get missed, even when we're creating it, thinking about that MTHFR, thinking about some of the other, issues that could be leading to that chronic fatigue. I mean, guys, these are off the chart. I'll show you the leaky gut one. Again, Liz, lab reference sheets. Oh, this one's not edited. So you'll just see it real behind the scenes. I mean, this is a perfect pair for the gut fix, because the gut fix is a 4R system. Even if you have the anti-inflammatory program, the blood sugar program, blood sugar mastery, candida. I mean, there are so many of these labs that can be a perfect pair. I know I have a bunch of you who do food allergy testing. So really, really excited. And you can see we did 10. It's a lot of work. Not to mention we have busted our butt probably for one of the most comprehensive programs we've ever put out. I mean, we have a lot of programs, but we worked on a 3-month stress program. And so I have been busy girl in the midst of also rebuilding my self-care, coming out of a little stress and viral issues I personally had last year from just stress. So when I look at this, super excited, because it really helps to break down the complexity of what we know it takes to get better. And what was interesting about these is that we were working on these, and of course, mind mapping these when I was even having some of my own health issues with like perimenopause and a bunch of other different things that were going on. So being able to really, in the midst of seeing how complicated it can be, and thank God I have, I would say, like 3 coaches that I go to for everything, and they're kind of my autoimmune sisters, and we'll talk it over. The complexity of trying to get healthy when there's a multifaceted layers of health issues, or there's been longstanding, I know, can really get overwhelming. And when I think of our clients, and I was speaking to my writer who did these, which is amazing, the complexity of health issues is what requires that person to get not only support, but the emotional support to not go into victimhood, which many of us do when we're feeling sick. One of my clients, her name's Munisa, she actually talks about this, and is the foundation of her business, of why we have to cleanse and why we have to address mystery illnesses. She always talks about, the victimhood that we go into when we're sick. And it's hard not to, because we lose such faith. And sometimes that faith can also be lost, unfortunately, because, and I'm just going to stop sharing, because we have had health issues and we go to people and we're just praying seriously for that miracle. Like, I can't tell you how close it is to my heart. And maybe that's why it was really easy for me to coach, because that pain of diagnosis and remembering being alone and coming home and being told, you have the highest heavy metals we've ever seen. Like, your mercury is off the chart, and your urine is so alkaline, we've never seen this. And oh my God, you've got fatty liver. And it was like 6 diagnoses in one day. And I remember driving home crying, going in the shower, and compulsively cleaning, which was something that I did to handle my stress of these diagnoses, because keep in mind, I've been in and out of hospitals when I was younger with an ulcer at 14. So for somebody like me, for a lot of us who are coaches, a lot of you who I know are still not in the depths of your autoimmune, but there can be some flares, especially when, shit hits the fan and life happens, not just pandemic, but life happens and stress gets in the way. So let me just, somebody's saying, hey, so glad I made it. Well, guys, I'm also going to be scheduling a bunch of these lives so that I don't just pop in. But I was sitting here working and I was like, I don't even think I can contain my excitement because of just how extensive the possibilities could be. And I just want to recap them before we leave. That protocol, many of us know, and the reason that we did so many references and really spoke in a non-claim way is we totally understand the liability for everyone. So that can also be, as Lisa Fraley, when I've interviewed her multiple times, Jonathan Posey, who I am very close with, and he and I have talked about the laws for, coaches and wellness practitioners, is that we can always provide information and advocate. So what that means is it doesn't mean you say you have chronic fatigue. It's that you can position it in the way that I learned, because even though I'm in a green state now, I live in Florida, moved from Philadelphia when I graduated from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, had the rude awakening that in a red state, you couldn't say much. I had to get informed, make sure that I knew how to protect myself and how to coach, not in fear. And one of the things that I learned from the Department of Health, because I was crippled when I heard that I couldn't coach in the way I thought. And so I did have a thriving business in a red state. And one of the things Jonathan Posey and I talked about on my podcast, which is at rachelafeldman.com, highly encourage you to listen, because we talked in specifics of an example of a coach who lives in a red state and bought my ketogenic program, Keto Made Easy. And I was asking him specifically because this coach, like myself, like many of you, want to make sure we never put ourselves in a claim situation and always want to practice with full integrity, but want to do it safe. And we don't always know the verbiage. He gave key verbiage. And furthermore, the way that I did it is I would always say, look, I'm here as your advocate. Keep in mind, I didn't do testing. I don't think that was really an option even back then. Maybe FDN did it, but I decided instead of even crossing over there, I would just partner with doctors, chiropractors, and acupuncturists. And it actually worked really well because it's really fun to coach in collaboration with people. Okay, moving on to actually what I'm going to say. So I used to say to people, look, in my experience of having chronic viral issues, EBV that was passed down in my family, autoimmune diagnosis such as asthma when I was younger, I would, have a conversation with your doctor and see what are the labs that he thinks or she thinks that would be, applicable. I know that when I was in the discovery zone of trying to figure out why I was having colitis, ulcerative colitis, and a myriad of other issues, these are the people that I hired. And here is this booklet, and this is a cheat sheet for you, just like this cheat sheet was given to me by my gynecologist, OBGYN, who figured out I was estrogen dominant. And some of the factors that can lead from the work of Chris Kressler, Terry Walls, and Louise Gittleman, I would always give references. Some of the factors that can lead to having hormone issues can often be gut viral pathogens. So when you work with me, I'm going to be able to give you and arm you with all this amazing information that will keep you empowered in your path, because my goal is you're not with me or feel dependent on me for months. Is that you understand how to take care of your body. You understand which foods are inflaming you, which foods fuel you. We may have to do testing, with your doctor. I did ALCAT. I also did Genova. I can tell you, of course, my experiences. It would probably be great if we can, of course, work with somebody who does muscle testing or has an energetic approach like a kinesiologist. These are the people I partner with here in Florida. I have people in Boca, I have people in Fort Lauderdale, and I have people in Miami and West Palm, making sure that wherever you live, because we're working with each other via Skype, that it can be really easy for you. That's how I always would not only position myself in, talking about my services, but also position myself in a way that that person knew that I wasn't going to be the only one, running the show. That if we needed to, step outside and find somebody to co-collaborate, or I would actually say, do you mind? And I had a lot of people with massive issues like myself. So it was not uncommon that I was CC'd with their doctor at the Mayo Clinic or their team. And that's what was a really beautiful opportunity, so that I never jumped in to a zone that I felt uncomfortable. So remember, go and listen to Lisa Fraley. She's on my podcast. Listen to Jonathan Posey. And I would say the way that these are written, you can stand strong with information and be that advocate. Just like a doula, which is a woman who helps a woman, to birth, which I did naturally twice. My doula would always say to me, which I think, is it for women? I think that's actually what doula means. Don't quote me on that though. But she would always say, I'm here not to tell you what to do in the hospital, Rach. I'm here to help you advocate for yourself so you have the birth that you desire. And that really is what I think a coach is. We are just the way shower. We are just showing somebody the way to come back to their intuition, to own their power, so they're not scared to say, hey, can you run that EBV? I know this may not be like here, but, I'm working with a person that's helping me to find my path to wellness. And I think that's the coolest thing about what we get to do. For those of you, of course, who are doctors, functional medicine practitioners, chiropractors, or you are working in co-collaboration with somebody who does this, this is literally the icing on a gluten-free cake. The coconut milk icing on a gluten-free cake, because this then allows, as one of the doctors who reached out to us said, I spend so much time trying to pull this information. This allows you to have a cohesive package. It allows you even to do this as an upsell to your labs, or also to set yourself apart from other people who are doing lab testing. The last part is Jennifer Woodward. She is one of the main people at FDM. Adore her. She bought our hormone membership. She also sells her protocols. So you can also look at this as selling protocols or lab testing with, of course, a masterclass, which really is then an entry point to the big healthy enchilada with dairy-free cheese, which would be, and gluten-free enchilada, which would actually be working with you in either your higher ticket, working with you in a capacity as Piper Gibson does, which is she packages her lab testing into her month package. Each one of you have a different kind of scenario. And the last would be for those of you who do have memberships. Another way to actually use these is that you are bringing people in on your low cost entry for your membership. When they come into the membership, this can be a upgrade for them. So your shop is actually positioned within that membership. Hence, not forcing, but having people see the value of coming in at a low cost, which is where we say low costs are good because they are then no-brainers. And then, of course, positioning the back to be a masterclass, say it's like on estrogen dominance, or a masterclass on leaky gut, or a masterclass on mindset, a masterclass on, and I don't mean like just mindset, I mean like habits and really breaking it down, mindset for, high achievers, and then looking at that protocol that would best match that masterclass as a paid option. And of course, eloquently saying, hey, when you come into this membership, you get access to all the 12 classes. You also, of course, are going to get what I offer on my main site at a special VIP option. And that can, of course, be a different price option in the membership, or that's where you can, of course, upsell to your quizzes. And maybe even this as an entire package, like we're going to do these labs, and then you can actually position that to be the labs off the reference sheet, or have your introductory session, 15 to 20 minutes, and then decide from, some pre-qualification questions, understanding the biggest problems, how long have they gone on, the same as if you were to just figure out the right testing for somebody. What are the core problems that they're experiencing? Who have they seen before? What tests have they done before? Do they have the last year of test or 6 months? And then being, of course, choosing the right test for them, the right lab tests, but still packaging that into a nice package that solves their problems. We have to always think about why people buy. Why does she buy? Why does he buy? And so packaging your brilliance and packaging unbelievable packages, I don't think there's another word I can say, is thinking about on the front end for them, what do they need to feel that security? How are you trust building leading to that paid offer? And so when you position the class, that master class, a quiz, and then even think of this package as either, part list building, part paid, you can really start to plan out, how are you using the content in a way where your ideal client really understands what you do? Because that's when we convert. When your ideal client is like, wow, I went through this quiz, or I saw this masterclass, or I saw this like mini teaching series. And, then I got this, like a lab reference sheet. I paid like $7 for it, or you give it for free. And they're like, oh my God, if I got this value, they naturally upsell. You don't even need to go into hard marketing, hard pushing. That's the beauty of creating viral content. And that's not just social media. Creating viral content is creating that content in those packages that sell, your freebies that sell. Your freebies that help to educate, your workshop. So please, guys, when you're thinking about your ideal client avatar, don't just say things. I worked with somebody for like a 2-hour messaging the other day. Don't just say, oh, I want to help people, lose weight and feel better. Like, get really specific on, if it is weight loss, like what is that person's biggest pain point? Emotionally, physically, spiritually, like how is it impacting their life? What is the pain that they feel on a daily basis? What are the obstacles within their 24 hours in their day? Because what you're giving that person in a freebie or paid offer or anything has to be a solution that they can say, that's going to instantly work for me. And that moment that they're like, oh my God, this is so mind blowing, they will then come into that next paid offer and actually convert, as long as they are the right client for you. All right. Very excited. If you have any questions, drop them below and I will see you guys later. I hope you're having a beautiful March already. Guys, it's been a pleasure. And we launched these babies March 18th. If you have any questions, hit us up. Bye, guys.